Just search for Sunny Bay Neck Wraps. All our products are great for men or women, are reusable and easy to clean. Remember, just search for Sunny Bay Neck Wraps. Order now because stock is high and shipping is fast. From Sunny Bay.
About QC Kinetics and how regenerative medicine has changed their life. People like Helen, an avid mountain climber who got sidelined when an accident left her knees in constant pain.
I was not able to train or do really anything on my knee.
Helen was told surgery would be her only option. But then she found QC Kinetics and was treated with natural biologics designed to repair and restore tissue in her knees. 3 months later, she was climbing the highest mountain in North America.
I got a very quick resolution to my pain. I began treatment in March, and I summited Denali June the 7th. It was super successful, and I recommend everyone seek out QC Kinetics as an alternative to surgery.
Get your life back with lasting results. No surgery, no drugs, no downtime. Call QC Kinetics today.
Call QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. 352-400-4550.
Howdy folks, RL here for Dairy Queen again to tell you about what's hot and what's not. Dairy Queen has some of the best char-grilled chicken breasts on earth, as well as their chicken breast salad. And the burgers are exceptional, cooked on a real grill for the best flavor and less fat. And for dessert, blizzards are unequaled. Personally, banana split is my all-time favorite. Dairy Queen Silver Springs, where we always treat you like kings and queens.
Nirvana Medical Spa is Ocala's premier medical spa, home to a variety of non-invasive corrective laser treatments and facials. Besides filler, neurotoxin, laser hair, we offer PRP, tattoo removal, body contouring, vaginal rejuvenation, urinary incontinence, and men's sexual health. Become a better, brighter, happier you at Nirvana Medical Spa.
Hey, do you know there's an Italian bakery in Ocala? Well, there is. It's the Magnolia Italian Bakery, where you can get the best Italian specialties. We have Italian and New York cheesecakes, fresh-made cannolis, cream puffs, eclairs, and even custom and gourmet cakes. We even serve hot and cold lunch daily. I suggest you try the Italian special number 3. We even cater big and small events. So call ahead, 352-207-2667. Visit the Magnolia Italian Bakery. Manja, God bless.
QC Kinetics patient Robert Patterson, a veteran and business owner, struggled at work and in
You're getting ready to move and you work hard. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. You need pros. Trained professional moving experts to do the heavy lifting for you. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. They care about your things as much as you do, and they do it fast and right. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. Visit twomeninatruck.com and get moving.
Two Men in a Truck.
Now you've done it. Have you lost your mind? He's back. And you're listening again. A legend in his own mind. Don't believe me? Just ask him. Here's Tom Schmitz live on WOCA. The Source.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks. On a Tuesday, you know, every month we have the good folks from College of Central Florida come in for higher education happenings, and today is that day. Tavis Douglas, who's an associate professor of agribusiness, joins us, and Marie Davidson, associate professor of equine study, joins us. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's start with you, Marie. Equine studies. Tell me exactly. I mean, does that mean is that a veterinary thing, or is that hunter jumper? We learn how to hunter jumper, or is it a little bit of everything when it comes to horses?
Actually, the Equine Studies program at the College of Central Florida covers a number of different subjects that are prominent in the equine industry. So since we are part of the College of Business, we are not preparing people for work as a veterinarian. However, we do have students that come through our program who end up working with veterinarians. And so we offer 3 different levels of credentialing, anything from a 15-credit college credit certificate in equine technician, which gives you basic understanding of what you would need to know in order to work in a stable or on a horse farm. We also have 2 associate in science degrees that cover 2 different specializations. One is equine exercise physiology, and the other is equine business management. Then we also have a Bachelor of Applied Science, where students can earn a bachelor's in business and organizational management with an equine studies specialization. And so with that range of credentialing, we cover a number of different opportunities for students.
Sounds like you cover the gamut of it.
Almost.
Now, Tavis, you're the associate professor agribusiness. Agribusiness, is that the business of farming?
Right. So, like Marie said with equine, with her program, it is the business side of farming. We do cover a lot of the scientific elements of agribusiness, as far as soil science, irrigation, nutrient management, and things like that. And like Marie's program, because we are in the business program, we have a Bachelor of Applied Science in agribusiness management, which is a 2-year program. And then, but before that, students, we have an AS program in agribusiness management, which really focuses on the science behind the business side of it. Like I said, some of the nutrient management, things like that.
When I was in college, the summers, I was worked for a booster at D Fair Farms. My job was to drive a John Deere tractor from the barn to the field, hook up tobacco wagons, drag it back to the barn, get them unloaded. I didn't know anything about the business, but you got to have a pretty good business sense, because we're talking about millions of dollars when you talk about tobacco producing and everything. So business is a major part of farming.
It is, and with razor thin margins sometimes, the decisions you have to make on the field, and really that's what we are. We're a decision-making program. What type of inputs that we need, and can we afford those inputs, and and then looking at the markets, the general commodity markets, whether it's commodities such as things like orange juice or sugar here in Florida, to corn and soybean in other states, or even tobacco and things like that. So
a lot of business that goes into farming. It's just not about riding a tractor out in the fields.
No, but we can do that too. If you want to come out to Vintage Farm, we can. Sounds like you already know, though. So.
That's where I'm going to go next, Marie, is when you talk about Vintage Farm, I know very little about Vintage Farm. Give me and our listeners that may not know a quick overview of what Vintage Farm is.
Vintage Farm is a working farm, or was a working farm, that was donated to the college several years ago for use in agribusiness and education. It's around 100 acres. It has a beautiful large barn there that has been renovated and updated for what we use it for. It also has a venue that is used for conferences and for rentals, for weddings and that kind of thing. And the rest of the farm includes all of the materials and venues where we teach students, both in the agribusiness program and in the equine program. So on the equine side, we have a veterinary center that was a working veterinary center until the college took over the facility. And so we have access to rooms in that building where we do dissections for our anatomy classes and that kind of thing. It's no longer a working veterinary center, but it does give us the opportunity to show students some of the interesting sides of the science that we teach in the program.
To me, it seems like a no-brainer, but what is the importance of making sure there's a strong equine higher education program in the horse capital of the world? I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer, but some people may go, they can get real-world experience on a farm. Why do they need an equine program at a school, at a college?
They can, and there is some debate about that. What I can share is my personal experience. I've been around a few years, you can tell, and I came into the industry as an upper-level rider. I was riding in my first international competition at age 16. And I went out into the world and tried to run my business, and found out that I really didn't know how to run my business, even though I knew the horses. What I found over the years was there is a need for students to learn not only their facet of the industry, but all of the other things that go into making those businesses work, which includes learning about the management of the horses, the nutrition, the optimum ways to rehabilitate a horse, to care for a horse so that they stay at peak performance. So we address a lot of those issues that go into not only being able to ride and compete successfully, but to run a stable of horses and keep them as elite athletes, which they are. And as you drive around the horse capital here in Ocala, you can see all kinds of different disciplines that are represented here. This is a multi-million-dollar industry, and we have representatives of all different sides of that industry right here in our town. And so going to college here for these kinds of subjects gives you the opportunity to not only get experience in the industry, but to learn about all the different sides of the industry and to be able to put together a plan for your own business, or to be able to work in a related industry sector where you can make a living at it other than just working in the stable. There are a lot more opportunities than that out there.
I know a little bit about the horse industry. I produced a show called the Horse Talk Show with Louisa Barton.
Yes.
For years.
Yes.
At my studio that I used to have, but I also know that not everybody gets to international competitions, and not everybody. It's just like any other sport. There's an elite group, and then there's other people, and you gotta have enough education where if the horse riding thing doesn't work out, and you still want to stay in the industry because of your love of equine, this is what you guys teach, is that there are many other facets than just getting up in a saddle.
Exactly. And not everyone is meant to be that elite in the saddle athlete. Many of us enjoy the other sides of the industry. We have students that graduate from our program. For instance, we have one student who graduated from our program who is working with Louisa on the Horse Talk Show as a director now.
I know Gigi well.
There you go. And we have other students who are taking jobs as assistant managers of major veterinary facilities. We have students who are sales representatives for different product producers. We have students who run stables and run training centers. We have students who are veterinary technicians and nurses in surgical nurses in different veterinary centers. So we have students doing a lot of different things other than just riding horses.
Tavis, now on the agribusiness side, when Marie talked about how people know their genre, but do they really know the business of their genre? I know radio. I've been in radio a long time. During the pandemic, I got out of radio. I decided to open my own video studio. I was going to have a news program. It was going to be really easy because I know this business. On this side, I had no idea about things like QuickBooks, and I had no idea about what SunBiz is and how you had to do. So I had to get and by the way, I decided you need to get back in this side of the business, and I got out of it. But a lot of people don't think about. I mean, I know how to hair a row. I know how to put a plant. I can put peanuts in the ground. I'm from Georgia. I know how to do all that. I couldn't run a farm if I wanted to, and that's a big deal.
It is, because you mentioned that the rules and regulations that we have to follow, whether it's a lot of it's nutrient management, or even you mentioned SunBiz, so setting up an LLC or any other type of business, a sole proprietorship. So we teach a lot of that in our agricultural business courses, as well as following things like the Food Safety Modernization Act, which went into effect about a decade ago, and just the tightening regulations that we have to deal with, because we're dealing with in a lot of cases we're dealing with food products, things that people eat, and there's a lot of regulation with that to make sure that our food supply is safe, here locally and then nationwide as well.
Well, we heard from Marie about the equine part of Vintage Farm. Talk about the agricultural side and how ag business uses Vintage Farm.
Yeah, so there's a lot of changes going on in our industry, a lot of technological advances, which is really what I want to talk about. So, but at least on our side, I like to call it in one part, Willy Wonka's garden. So instead of candy, we just have a lot of different types of fruit crops and vegetables and things like that going on. I think about maybe 50 different varieties of stuff that we're actually growing out there that we actually use in our program, educational program. Of course, we have our greenhouse out there where we're teaching a lot of hydroponic production, as well as ornamental horticulture, propagation, and stuff like that, nursery production. We also have roughly 50 acres of the farm is actually in rotational grazing. So we have a herd of Hereford cattle out there that we use in our courses. Some working pens associated with that as well. Some of the exciting stuff, though, that we're more exciting stuff, I guess I should say, that we're dealing with is we are upgrading. We're upgrading the farm to bring it into the 21st century as far as some of our automated weather stations, as well as our automated irrigation systems. I've got I can literally turn the water on and off on out at Vintage Farm on my phone as I sit here and talk to you right now. So I can look at the soil conditions, weather conditions, and get information off of that. And again, going back to making decisions, that information helps us make better decisions. Not just from an economics perspective, but also for a conservation perspective. And that's another focus that we have in our program, is really looking at soil and water conservation, nutrient conservation. We all hear
get more out of less.
Yeah, exactly. Getting more out of less. We have less of it. As a producer, we don't want to always put fertilizers out that we don't want to over apply fertilizers. We don't want nutrient runoff. We don't want those things. It costs us money. Plus, because our business largely revolves around the environment, we don't want to contaminate and pollute those resources that we have here locally. We want to protect those as well.
How do the two programs, because you're both at Vintage Farms, I'm sure there's got to be some cross-pollination between the two programs.
A little.
Yeah, so we're working on that. There is actually. We have students who, going back to our programs themselves, because we have a AS program in agribusiness, and Marie has a couple of AS programs in equine, but we both have a program on the bachelor side. So from our perspective, we can, CF isn't a 2-year institution anymore. No. It's 4 years.
4 years.
So a student can come into my program as a freshman, get the 2-year degree, the 60 credits for the AS, stay and get a bachelor's degree in agribusiness management. So they can get a 4-year degree, and at least and I'll come back to Marie, that tie in a second. But from there, I have students who can go on and get jobs that the large university up the road, we're
He's talking about the one I have on my shirt.
Yeah, the one on your shirt there.
Go Gators, that one.
Anyway, but competing with those students coming out into the workforce and getting the same jobs, actually for a lot less money. But the tie into our programs, so I have students go through my AS and agribusiness program. They get that degree, and then they decide, well, maybe they're more equine focused, and they want to do that. So they can, after that, then they're in. They can apply for and go through Marie's bachelor's program, or vice versa, going through an AS equine program and then transitioning to the agribusiness. They can actually get both on if they so choose.
Marie, because I would think, even though equine and agriculture are two separate entities, equine's still a working farm, and agribusiness is about running farms. So exactly. I bet there's a lot of stuff that transitions to both.
Absolutely. And we have 2 horses who live at the farm now who are leased to us for use and instruction. And so our students also are learning how to manage those horses and manage the facility along with those horses as part of a working farm. We bring horses in from the outside to increase the exposure to different horses and to give students a little bit more hands-on experience. We have increased the hands-on experience in our programs quite a bit in the last couple of years, especially since COVID. And in that process, both Tavis and I have noticed that there are students that have some interest in both programs. And so we are looking at opportunities for students to be able to do something through the college, perhaps a certificate in the future that might incorporate some aspects of both. Right now there are a few courses that move back and forth, but that needs to be, it's one of the things we're looking at as we update the programs going forward.
I would think with a working farm and everything, there'd be a lot of chance for research to come out of this, because y'all, with the stuff y'all do, is there an opportunity where students and professors can use the farm and do research that will help the industries?
There is. Our program has done research in the past. We don't have anything working right at the moment, but they have done research on, for instance, the stride of winning racehorses, having to do with double suspension in the gallop stride. That was research that was conducted by the previous program manager who left a little over a year ago. And going forward, we have a research scientist who works as an adjunct in our program who teaches our exercise physiology course. She does some work with students on heart monitors when horses are under exercise. And so there are a lot of opportunities there for research. We just don't have anything going at the moment.
And I would think on the agriculture side, there's a plethora of opportunities.
There is, actually. So currently what we're doing right now, and I mentioned some of the technology that we already have and we're continuing to install, but right now we actually have a project going on with actually an international nursery on citrus rootstocks for citrus screening, which is a huge problem for that industry in Florida. So we actually have we're doing trials right now on different rootstocks and different types of citrus. And they're basically their resistance to citrus screening. So we're working with a nursery down in Leesburg on that. We're also moving forward. We're actually again, this is going back to more data collection, but actually using some UAV or drone technology to across some of our pastures and paddocks and things like that, monitoring nutrient levels as well as water management and some of the practices that we can do, whether it's equine related or whether it's livestock or even row crop management, collecting some of that data using some of this drone technology and to make better decisions that really don't exist at the moment. Another project that we have working on is recently, within the past year or so, we obtained a hemp license to grow industrial hemp from the state of Florida. So low THC or no THC hemp, and with that we're trying to figure out the best varieties to grow in Florida. Now, historically, hemp is not a crop that is grown in Florida. There's no USDA data on that. So, and we're getting genetics in from out of state. Well, genetics that work in Colorado might not work in Florida. So we're trying to sift through different varieties of those to try to determine the best types and for the specific purposes in that particular industry.
You know, I think that when you bring up something like hemp and all, that you're moving towards seeing if that's a Florida thing and everything. People forget, we're the tourist destination, we're paradise, we're the Sunshine State. Livestock and agriculture is a huge deal in the state of Florida.
It is. It's as far as an economic driver, it is the number 2 industry in the state of Florida, obviously behind tourism. But it's big. And if you move away from the coast and you come to where we're at in Ocala, again, this whole area, or even central South Florida, there's a lot of farms. It's farms.
You don't have to come very far. There's parts of Pasco County where you could be at the ocean in 10 minutes and still be on a cow farm.
Oh yeah, definitely. So.
Let's talk about the equine, because I need a definitive answer. So who better to ask than a professor of equine for a definitive answer?
Okay, I'll try.
There's all this discussion every year about Lexington, Louisville area, or our area, horse capital of the world. They went to court over it and everything.
Exactly.
I say, and I want to get an equine perspective, I say the Kentucky area is the thoroughbred horse capital of the world. And Ocala is the horse capital of the world because we have Pasafinos. We got every genre of competition, every genre of horse. We got every genre of pony.
We do.
They have thoroughbreds up there, so they're the thoroughbred capital.
Well,
we're the horse capital. No, we have thoroughbreds here. I know.
Yes, we do. And if you look at the horses who ran in the Triple Crown this year, most of them had connections to Ocala.
Well, that's because it's warm here all the time and not cold like it is up in that godforsaken place.
Well, there are more benefits as well. I mean, our environment, the calcium-rich environment here also is helpful for the growth of those horses. And so there are a lot of people that are bringing their horses here and breeding horses here for those reasons as well.
I'm going to jump in on that, even though I'm not the equine guy. This is a soil science discussion that we can have at a later date. So this is all related to the soils that we have here in Marion County.
But you mean bluegrass is not the answer?
It's a good answer, but we have our own answer.
Yeah, exactly. We are the horse capital of the world.
Indeed.
That's all I can tell you, and a judge has signed off on it. That's all I can tell you.
Exactly.
That's all I can tell you. So if people want to find out more information about these programs we've talked about and the College of Central Florida, what do they need to do?
I would say they need to contact us. We have a website, which is www.cf.edu, and through that website, you can research the different programs that are available. You can find contact information and write a note that will come through to us personally, where we can answer your questions. I spend a lot of time meeting with people at Vintage Farm and showing them around and talking with them about the specifics of the program. I find that's the best way to help people make the decisions about where they need to go, because that way we can talk about their individual goals, we can look at their experience, their plans, and see if CF doesn't fit for them.
Yeah, and also, so the website for sure, and where you can find our contact information plus all of the other programs at CF as well, if they're so interested. And we're also planning more. We had one in the spring that was successful. Open houses out at Vintage Farm. So where we have our students are working on projects, so the general public can come out, or prospective students or whoever can come and see some of the projects that we're working on and see if that's something that they want to get into.
When we got about a minute and a half, tell people where Vintage Farm is, because I think a lot of people think the farm, well, it's got to be way outside of town.
It's right on the edge of town. It's at 4020 Southeast 3rd Avenue in Ocala, which is right on Route 475. If you take Route 475 going south out of Ocala, you will see large signs on the right-hand side for the Vintage Farm campus.
You can't miss it. You cannot miss it.
Absolutely. It's beautiful.
Right. It's literally on the right-hand side, probably, probably
a tenth of a mile.
A tenth of a mile when you cross 31st.
Exactly.
I mean, it's really what cobblestone or whatever. I forget the name of the other subdivision.
Bell Chase.
Bell Chase
is across the road.
Yeah, Bell Chase is right across the street. I mean, it's literally after you cross over 31st. Vintage Farm is almost directly on your right.
But I will say this is as because it is almost pretty much in town, and I work out there. Work out there full time. You don't notice it. It's like you're in the country, in the middle of nowhere. It's like you're in the country. So it's a nice area.
The traffic's not bad.
No.
Unless 475 backs up.
Yeah. But other than that,
then you don't notice it. When you're on the farm, you feel like you're out in the.
Although that happens usually at the four-way stop in Pedro, and that's way far.
Exactly.
That's way far. Thanks so much for coming in today, both of you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
We've been talking with Tavis Douglas, an associate professor of agribusiness, and Marie Davidson. She is an associate professor of equine studies. We're going to take a break. Coming up after the break, Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin. She is in the building taking your questions and in the garden with Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin. You're listening to Ocala Talks on 1370 AM, 96.3 FM. This is WOCA, The Source.
Broadcasting from the Ocala International Airport, this is WOCA AM, W242CA FM, Ocala, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.